For breweries watching, I know we have a bit of an audience with that's in the industry. For breweries that are like maybe looking to move from stickers, or obviously they have a choice from the wraps. If they're not already doing this, they're probably just doing stickers. Like, can you do like I imagine you're quite flexible. You can do those smaller runs that we were talking about earlier, where maybe they need a few thousand cans, up to these massive runs. Like, is that possible? So breweries of any size can get digital printing at a reasonable cost that can work for them.
Yeah, I think that's the big advantage is that we have so much flexibility in terms of quantities. We can do as little as one layer. We can do enough for a party. If you had an epic party you want to throw and you had
Yeah.
a brewer that can fill them, there's some ideas for you. But we also have some customers that are running some 100,000 cans, 200,000 cans. Right below that full truckloads is as high as or the minimum quantities that the offset printers are looking for. We go as high as that, but we also do a lot of smaller stuff.
Are you a brewhead? I'm a brewhead. Are you a brewhead? I'm a brewhead. Y'all are brewheads? Yeah, we brewheads. So pour a glass of craft beer, we can do this. Yeah.
What's good, y'all? This is C Certified Brewhead, and welcome back to another video here on BAOS. And today we are talking about all things canning, something different we haven't touched on the channel yet. And I'm excited to learn a lot more. With me, I have Stephanie and JP from Hart Print here in Montreal. Welcome, guys. Thank you for hanging out.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Love it. Great to connect. I learned about you guys from one of the collabs that I did with Echo Session Ales starting, I think it was in 2019. And been following you closely ever since, and you're doing a lot of great work here in Canada and beyond. So we're going to get into everything. So maybe first up, do you guys want to just give a quick overview of what you guys, what Hart Print is and what you actually do?
Sure, yeah. So Hart Print, we are the first digital can printers in North America. So what we're able to do is use CMYK printing, which stands for cyan, magenta, yellow, black, similar to what you may have in your office, but on steroids. So we throw ink onto a moving can, moving at about 90 cans per minute, and we're able to place those ink droplets with extreme precision onto the can. So with that, we're able to run one job after the next without stopping. We have a lot of flexibility in what we do because we're using digital print.
That's awesome. Okay, fascinating. So we're going to really get into the what that is and in comparison to what's existing on the market already. So I moved to Quebec in 2012, and I noticed here in comparison from Toronto, and I noticed that the volume of bottles, like the twist tops, kind of like the Judas Yale style, or almost like I want to say when I moved here, it would have been 95% of the market was just straight bottles. There was very few cans, and obviously over that last decade, we've seen a complete 180 in that trend towards cans, whether it's the short cans, the tall cans, or whatever. Is that why you guys why did you guys get involved in this business, and what does that look like for craft beer? Being I know you do more than just beer, but what does that what's that impact been?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy when you look at the market today. It's all things cans, But if you backtrack even just 10 years ago, or what you're kind of talking about with microbreweries and a lot of craft beverage, it really started with bottles,
Right.
and that's what they had access to, and that was even just kind of part of it. And then slowly over time, it just became more obvious that cans were a great packaging solution for a lot of reasons, not just that, cost of goods was cheaper than the bottles, the recyclability of cans versus bottles, the labor behind the bottles, even just keeping the product fresh, like the shelf life. So just slowly, cans really started taking off in a really big way.
And there's also this stigma around cans about how there was a stigma around cans for a long time that it was
Yeah.
only cheap beer that went into cans and the good beer was in bottles. Luckily, that has passed, and as Stephanie mentioned, it's just a much better vessel to hold beer in.
Do you think a lot of that was driven by consumers wanting it, or did it start from the producer side? Like, where did the shift begin?
Came from both sides, I think.
Yeah.
I think there was an increase in demand by consumers. Again, the stigma went away about what kind of beer was in cans. It transports way better on both sides. You could take it to the beach, you could take it to the golf course. And then on the flip side, it ends up being less expensive on the to produce on the I guess on the producer side. And Quebec and Ontario, they have some pretty good bottle recycling programs, and they take back bottles, they wash them, and they re-put them back in circulation. It's a pain. It's a real pain point for brewers to go through.
Yeah.
But even worse in the States, they don't even do it at all. It goes right in the trash, and because even in a lot of places there, they don't have the proper recycling programs to take back bottles.
Interesting. I mean, look, I'm from Australia, and we didn't have it out there. And when I first moved here, I was like, I actually worked at the beer store, and I was like, this is amazing. Like, you can just bring stuff back, and they give you money. Like, it was a cool little like encouragement. And I do like that they do that. Obviously, they work. You can. I think technically, like I do it all the time. To be honest, it's too annoying for me to bring it back in Quebec. So I'm looking at a bag there. I've got some bags on the balcony. I just chuck them in a car and drive them off to Ontario every other month or something. It's just easier than bringing them back here. But the fact that it exists and encourages people to recycle is very, very cool. So then, obviously, people like you guys, you don't actually make the cans. So the cans are coming from somewhere. What's the global sort of situation as far as the aluminium producers?
You want to take it?
Sure. So the making cans is an art. There's a lot of engineering that goes into cans. You might not think it at first when you look at it. It looks pretty simple. It's not flying. It's not driving. But these cans are moving at 3,000 cans per minute through lines. So they have, you can't even see them. They're moving so fast. And they have to they have to keep their structural integrity, their consistency from one can to the next.
The liners.
They have to make sure they don't leak. So there's so much going on at the speeds that they're moving. So it's really impressive to see. There are essentially 3 large can manufacturers in the United States or North America this time, which are Ball, Crown, and Ardagh. They also offer printing services. They use the traditional style of printing, which is called offset printing. So think of very mechanical style print. Think back of printing presses if you want a comparison in a paper world, where they're rolling the cans in ink and while masking certain parts of the cans to make sure that they get all the colors that they want. And that's why you see a limited number of colors on these type of cans. When you look at a Coca-Cola can or Budweiser or Coors Light, you're going to see that it's not super colorful. They're going to work with 6 colors maximum, sometimes 8.
And if you look really closely, you'll see a seam down the can. Exactly. So like JP said, they literally just kind of roll it on. And it also, traditional offset printing also requires a lot of setup in terms of the artwork and the plates that have to be in place in order to do this type of printing. So that's why, they're running at tremendous speeds. There's a lot of cost attributed to setting up an individual artwork for this type of printing. Which is also why they impose really large minimum requirements on a post-view basis. So this isn't like the type of printing, if you want to go and get, 6,000 cans, 3,000 cans printed of a particular artwork, like God forbid you only want 100 cans, forget it. Because these companies are not interested in supplying that type of market when it comes to, offset printing. They just don't have they're not set up that way. They're not built that way, really.
In fact, their minimum orders are truckloads. You have to order, in the past, you had to order 1 truckload, which is 200,000 cans when you're looking at the 355 standard. And even Ball this year has increased that to 5 truckloads. So you're looking at 1 million cans. And as you know, most microbrewers don't do that kind of volume. They do a lot of different styles and experiments. They're artisans, and so they don't do deep volumes like that in most cases.
What were they? So when microbreweries, craft breweries first started canning, were they using? I guess they weren't using digital offset. They were probably doing another style of labeling.
Yeah, well, so I guess it's kind of really a nice segue into how Hart Print kind of came to be or manifested in the sense that, so about 7 years ago, I was part of a microbrewery, a small local microbrewery here in Montreal. And we were doing exactly that. We were moving away from bottles into cans, and kind of like in our first run, we were putting sticker labels on our first canning session. And I kind of looked at my partners. I said, "Wow, this seems kind of crazy. It doesn't do justice to the brand. It's a sticker. It just doesn't look great or feel great." that matter. And so I kind of said to my partners, I'm like, I don't get it. Can't we get printed cans? And the answer was no for everything that we just spoke about. The alternative was really either you put a sticker on it or you have to put plastic sleeves, which for me is like a big no-no just for the environmental impact it has. So that's where the kind of, seed was planted. And then, fast forward and I meet JP, we're doing our MBA together. And we, had a start your own venture course. And that's kind of where we explored the idea further to say, hey, would there be a way we can digitally print in small batches on cans? And that's kind of that's how it started.
Did you invent the technology? Like if it didn't exist prior?
We didn't know. We're not that intelligent. We didn't invent the technology. Luckily, there's people out there who have a lot more experience in printing than we do. So there were some digital printers out there. There was a tonejet printer coming out of the UK that looked promising, but there was also a German printer called made by Hinterkopf, and we ended up going with the Hinterkopf printer. They had more versatility. They were able to print on the 16 ounce or the 473 here in Canada and the 355 ml cans. So they were printing full height of the can in the shoulder or neck area as well. So we really liked what we saw from them. So we ended up partnering with them very early on, and the rest is history.
That's so cool. So just to sort of expand a bit on kind of what you were saying, I got some examples of the different types. So this one here, collab we did with Kanawaki. This is a sticker. They've got obviously the the line there. You've got the silver gap at the top and at the bottom. It's a nice smooth matte one, but a sticker nonetheless. I have this one here, another collab we did with Brasserie Generale in Quebec City. Now this is a completely different. This is like a paper sticker. Once again, you see the lines. The top and the bottom. Sometimes, like if I'm keeping these because these are our collabs, I hang on to them, and I always get annoyed when the stickers don't match at the top with the two lines there. So there's something cute about the stickers. I like that they're it shows sometimes that it's small batch for the ones that aren't distributed, but there definitely are some limitations to those. The wrap that you mentioned is this one right here. So you kind of can't tell, but essentially it's like you can see just above the orange line, there's a little bit of clear plastic, which indicates the wrap, and that they've got the same at the bottom here. This particular one, nice gloss, shiny and stuff. It looks great, but as you said, Stephanie, not optimal for the environment. And this is one of yours here as same brand from L'Espace Public, another collab we did, same brand that we collabed under, but this time it's completely printed. And as JP was talking about, the shoulder neck area, at the top here, completely printed all the way down to the bottom. What's this area called?
We call it the chin.
The chin. Hilarious. Love it.
The chin.
Okay, it's
Yeah.
the chin.
I figured there'd be a funny name for it.
Chin.
As of today, we call it chin.
It is now. And this was the can that I discovered you guys from via our collab with Echo Session Ales and Broadway called Love Dust. Now this is one of yours as well, printed all the way down to the bottom there. But also the thing we loved about this one, because you actually were cool, did it in the inverse upside down to make sure that people store it that way, to make sure the glitter is swirling. But the coolest thing about this can is this, where you see the letters Love Dust, they're actually raised along the back, and even the text on the back. So this is a pretty new thing. I don't think I've really seen that at all really anywhere.
I think so. One of the great things about our technology are our finishes and the versatility. So yes, we can do the traditional kind of full gloss can. We can do a matte, but what's really cool is when we play with both together. And so then what you get is when you play with the kind of gloss to kind of go on specific parts of the artwork, it really punches. So like the title over there, where Love Dust, it really kind of pops out. And then also with some of the finer print, it almost feels like there's almost like a tactile feeling to it. So a lot of fun. That's and awesome. You can play with, you could even play with like the varnish. So even if it's a solid color, you could add on top of it patterns, for instance, using the varnish without actually adding additional color.
That's so sick. So then it's really cool. It's just such an impressive technology, and it look, when you're holding them all side by side and you're really looking at them, there is something very, very cool about this, and I can really understand why. I mean, there's so many benefits to it aside from the aesthetics. Obviously, you mentioned the environment. So these plastic wraps are typically, I think they've actually, didn't the Quebec government do something about this? And they, am I mistaken about that? There's some sort of government.
Oh, yeah.
No?
They've been banned since September 2021.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
So, yeah. Quebec is trying to eliminate the amount of plastic that's contaminating their aluminum recycling streams.
Okay.
So this was a big way for them to do it by banning the plastic sleeve on a can. And they're getting a lot of interest. Other states and other provinces are calling them up, asking questions about how has this gone for them, how's it going.
Mhm.
And I think you're going to see a lot more of that. Either it's going to be through government regulation that's going to help encourage this go away, but I think at the end of the day, or at least that's what we're betting on, is that digital print is the ultimate choice for labeling a beverage can.
Yeah, it's interesting because obviously we're a B2B, and you do have a lot of the companies that we work with that care about that. So when we expand, we're doing a big push in Ontario and the Northeast. We're going to be opening up south of the border in Chicago soon, where there isn't a ban on plastic. But what's great is a lot of our customers care about having a more sustainable product. So it touches them. And then there's also the consumer. So either there's going to be pressure from the government, or there's also going to be pressure just coming from our customers' consumer, the people buying it off the shelf saying, hey, we don't want plastic. So I think we see that over time, yes, it's great that Quebec has gotten behind it and really banned single-use plastic. But I think it's just a matter of time where we kind of see it roll out kind of across the board.
Interesting. I love that. And is this digital for breweries watching? I know we have a bit of an audience that's in the industry. For breweries that are like maybe looking to move from stickers, or obviously they have a choice from the wraps. If they're not already doing this, they're probably just doing stickers. Can you do I imagine you're quite flexible. You can do those smaller runs that we were talking about earlier, where maybe they need a few thousand cans, up to these massive runs. Is that possible? So breweries of any size can get digital printing at a reasonable cost that can work for them?
Yeah, I think that's the big advantage, is that we have so much flexibility in terms of quantities. We can do as little as one layer. We can do enough for a party. If you had an epic party you want to throw, and you had a brewer that can fill them, there's some ideas for you. But we also have some customers that are running some 100,000 cans, 200,000 cans. Right below that full truckloads is as high as or the minimum quantities that the offset printers are looking for. We go as high as that, but we also do a lot of smaller stuff, and that's why we got into this business. We love doing the small stuff just as much as we love doing the big stuff, if not more. We're a startup company. We love what we do. We're all about art, and we love when people like to explore their creativity through their beer can. So we love seeing the new stuff comes out and people pushing the envelope there.
Love that. That's so sick. And speaking of that, the art is really important, and obviously a lot of breweries spend. I've had brewers tell me they're paying $1,000 to per label to a designer to do this type of stuff, and that's art is a big part. Beer is technically art, and the actual physical visual art that comes along with it is done justice to another level when it comes to stuff like this. So I imagine that's quite appealing to breweries. There are a bunch of breweries who particularly enjoy focusing on the art. So it's I guess that's another thing that sort of appeals.
Sure, art matters and art sells.
Yeah, and it's a competitive space on the shelf, and so I think knowing that people can really boost their brand, get creative, change things up, not be stuck because they've paid for a certain label that they have to stick with because it's going to cost money to change or whatever. This really gives them full versatility. It allows them to expand on their creativity. We promote it from within. So even though the majority of our customers provide their own artwork, we have an amazing team. We have a design service under Hart Lab, we call it, where we not only have great designers in-house, but we also really promote local artists to do collaborations. So we've developed a really nice network around us where when somebody is interested to let's say rebrand or do a specific collab, that we tap into our network and we try and bridge that kind of relationship between our customers and the network of artists that we have.
That's great. That's really handy as well. Not all breweries have access to that, so that definitely is a great service. So, okay, this is like, I think we've painted the picture really well. So, what can sort of we expect to see? Do you guys think, like, you know, short, mid, long term, as far as, you know, we'll probably already started to see the reduction of the wraps. Maybe there's some that were already done. They're going to be phasing out of the market. I imagine we'll probably see some more digital art. I'd be curious your thoughts on the different sizes of cans. I've seen in the States, they've got those like the 8-ounce cans, kind of like those half-size ones for like imperial stouts, which I love the idea of because I don't always want even a tall boy or a 750 of 12% stout, you know? Love to hear your thoughts on that.
You're talking to stubby lovers. When we started this business, we desperately wanted a stubby customer and a way to be able to print on it. I think we even ordered the equipment, the tooling to be able to print on it, but we haven't found a customer yet, and we haven't found a can that we could print on yet either. So
okay,
but yeah, we are seeing some diversification in terms of formats. The 19.2 ounce is becoming more and more popular for the single serve. But then on the flip side, you're also seeing that 8 ounce, the 250 ml. Starting to take on a little bit more market as well. So those are two formats that we hope to be offering by the end of the year, and some cool format and cool diameters as well. So when you talk about cans, you have your standard diameter, which is a 66 millimeter diameter. Then you go into the sleek format, which is a little bit more narrow, and that's at a 58 millimeter diameter. I have one over here. And then last, you'll have a slim, which is a 53 millimeter diameter. That's more in your Red Bull style can diameters, just to give you guys some ideas. But what's interesting is that there are some companies like Ardagh, for example, they're coming out with a 250 ml sleek, which is great because then you don't have to change your canning line around to run it. It's usually everything is based off of diameter. You can use the same lids as well, but also offer that format, and it's going to hold real nice in your hand. So things like mixers or wines, it's going to be real popular for that format. And we've seen already the push to that 355 ml sleek. It's the RTDs, kombuchas, seltzers, they're all going to that format. It's really sought after, or that's at least what we're seeing on our side. I think the market's seen it as well.
That's awesome. I have definitely noticed a lot of that. And you mentioned the wine. I saw that a lot in the States. And then every time we came back, like these last few years, and to come back here, they never had them, but I'm starting to see, you know, SAQ, they've got some of them going on. So yeah, it looks like it's not just beer; it's a hot, you know, anything that's a liquid that you're trying to sell.
The stigma has to change there too.
Yeah, exactly. So okay, I love it. So for any businesses watching, whether like we're just saying, whether it's winery, a brewery, a cider company, soft drink, kombucha, like milk, whatever, anything that's a liquid, and they're looking at working with you guys to get some products, or even if you're a smaller business who, just like you said, for a party, you want to get a couple hundred cans or something like that. Where can everybody find Hart Print to reach out?
Yeah, so we're online. So at hartprint.ca, they can find us there. It's super easy to open up an account. Our process is kind of broken up into 3 really easy stages, where it's the kind of test it, love it, order it. So we do provide samples for every initial artwork cycle to make sure that it's what they want printed. Once they approve either a physical or a PDF, then after that, they can go through our portal without even speaking to anybody and pretty much order the amount of cans that they want.
Love it.
Milk and cans, let's do it.
Yeah, milk and cans.
We want to see it. Does it exist? It must exist. It has to.
We haven't done
I
it.
haven't
We
seen
haven't
it,
seen it
so
yet. No.
that's what I'm saying. It's
Oh,
time.
I think it is time. And also, you guys have got a great Instagram account. I think it's actually at Hartprint. I think it might be .ca actually on the Instagram. Am I off, or is it just Hartprint?
You know what? I think it just recently changed to Hartprint.
I thought it was hartprint.ca.
Is it still?
Yeah. Either way, we'll find it. I'll put it in the description. No, but it's great, guys. Thank you so much for your time. love everything that you're doing. Thank you for explaining this. This has been genuinely informational, and like I didn't realize that it was, so deep. You think of the can, everyone, we take it for granted. You crack it, you drink it, and you kind of don't really think about it. So, it's there is a lot more to this. So I appreciate both of you for taking the time.
Thank you.
It's been great.
All right, y'all. And everyone, thank you for watching and listening. If you enjoyed the episode, smash the thumbs up, hit subscribe below, hit the notification bell so you know when the new drops. Follow us on social media at BAOS Podcast everywhere. We're on TikTok now, funnily enough. It's doing pretty nice. And we drop podcasts every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Check that out. Appreciate y'all. Cheers.